Welcome to the Lakeshow podcast presented by Jack in the Box. This is a weekly deep dive into the biggest stories and topics surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm Chris McGee, joined by Laker insider Mike Bresnahan from The Athletic. Jovan Buha is here.
Jovan.
We are taping this on recording this on a Monday. By the way, Brez,
Yes.
a lot has happened here the last couple of days.
It's been busy.
NBA free agency. Jovan has his own podcast, Buha's Block podcast, but you're now a guest of ours. We're going to let you run this. President talked about it today. We're going to give you the ball, get up as many shots as you want. So free agency, give us just your take on the first couple hours and where you see the Lakers kind of fitting into everything. Because one thing I realized, Jovan, Lakers have a lot of guys on their team already.
They have a full roster.
They've all opted in.
All 15.
So there's not a lot of room.
15.
Yeah, so when people are like, oh, Lakers aren't getting anybody free agency, well,
they have to make some moves.
They got to make some moves.
They got to make some trades.
If they want to.
If they want to sign someone to that non-taxpayer mid-level exception, have LeBron James take a pay cut, they would need to do a consolidation trade to open up an empty spot on the roster. They could create a trade exception, and like that was one potential option with Klay Thompson was maybe trade D'Angelo Russell or Rui Hachimura somewhere, create that trade exception, and then do a sign-in trade with Golden State into that trade exception and pay Klay Thompson more than the non-taxpayer MLE. My thoughts on the Lakers, well, one, I really like the Max Christie deal. I thought that was fair money for both sides. It's the Lakers betting on Max's potential and the flashes that we've seen from him through his first couple of years. And for Max, it's, just getting a longer-term contract, starting to make NBA money. Relatively speaking, of course, like he's making a lot of money, but for NBA, you made $2.7 million his first 2 years. So like that's on the lower end.
It's a life-changing
it's a life-changing contract.
Yeah.
And I think Max Christie is ready to be, like, all indications are he's going to be a rotation player next year. Lakers obviously don't sign him to that. Like they rarely, if you look at the Lakers' recent free agencies, they rarely sign contracts above 3 years. So I thought that wasn't, like, he does have a player option for that fourth year, but they rarely commit to a guy for that type of length. So I thought that was a sign of, like, he's 21. He's 2 years younger than Dalton Knecht, like almost literally like 2 exact years. So it's like Dalton Knecht, we're talking about being like NBA ready and coming in being a rotation guy. Well, like Max Christie is younger than some guys that won in the first round in addition to Knecht. So it's like, I think there's a lot of potential there with Max Christie. So I was a fan of that. Now, Klay Thompson, like I would have liked the fit. I wouldn't have loved it if they would have done a sign and trade and have to give up some depth. But like at the non-taxpayer mid-level, would have liked it. Good shooter, no longer the player that he was, no longer an all-star. But like, I think he would have certainly helped the team. Now the name I've been hearing the last since yesterday has been DeMar DeRozan as like the backup plan for Klay Thompson. I'm less sold on the DeMar DeRozan fit, but I think the Lakers need to do something. If you look at the rest of the West, several teams have upgraded and made notable moves. And
did that surprise you?
A little bit. I thought, there's always activity around the draft and entering free agency. It's been particularly active, and you're seeing, there was some concern about what's going to happen with the first apron and the second apron, and teams
were trading.
Boston just contract extension for Derek White, contract extension for Jason Tatum, biggest contract in NBA history. So like
$15 million or so for
the
Tatum?
money's flowing.
Unbelievable.
The money's flowing around. But they're like, I look at to me, OKC is now the best team in the West. They just added Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein, and they kept basically. They replaced Giddey.
They were one seed last year, right?
They were the one seed last year,
and
now
now
Vegas is reflecting that too. Their second choice to win it behind Boston.
Yeah.
So Vegas has caught up quickly.
So the West is active, and I think the Lakers, like, clearly, if they can't get a difference maker with that non-taxpayer mid-level exception, the only way to change the roster at all is to make a trade. So I think whether it's a couple of moves where maybe you are doing a salary dump and then you're going out to do a different move, or you're just doing a bigger trade, like, I do think they need to do something to maximize this window with LeBron and AD.
Interesting if you're the Nuggets too, because KCP, who was a big part of
big
that,
loss.
is no longer there. And I know the Nuggets said, well, Christian Brown can fill in that role. We have other guys, and he's got to do what he's got to do. But to me, that changes the landscape a little bit too. All of a sudden, Denver, doesn't look, now they lost as well, Brez. When they were the champs, just looked like they were never going to lose again.
They still have such a good starting four, I guess.
Yeah.
But this is definitely a step back for them. Are they going to finish outside the top 4 now in the West? I feel like the West is getting so good. Yeah. Here's what I feel like is happening this particular free agency period. You're going to have concentration of power among 4 teams in the West and about 3 or 4 teams in the East, too. I mean, the Knicks, and can't forget Milwaukee, and, of course, Boston. Like
Philly
right
now.
away, yeah, you got to add Philly, too. Thank you, Paul George. Those 4 teams, and then I think it's a pretty big drop-off after that. Sorry, Indy. Nice run.
For me, like I look at the West, right? Because, I mean, it's Boston, it's Philly, it's Milwaukee, whatever. It's Boston at the top in the East, and I think those other guys are now going to battle, especially with Paul George. But DeJounte Murray to the Pels.
Yeah, that helps
intriguing.
them.
They were knocking on the
Yep.
door last year, kind of taking that jump. We're still waiting to see if Sacramento makes that jump every year. They seem to be the team, but they haven't won a playoff series yet.
They did re-sign Malik Monk for a lot.
Mavs added Klay Thompson, right?
Yeah.
T-Wolves got the
Dillingham,
8th pick. Yeah. So it's interesting. Harden stayed, right? Paul George gone.
I think the Clippers take
drop.
a big step down. I think losing Paul George. I also think the Warriors take a step back, losing Klay Thompson and Chris
Because if
Paul.
Kawhi doesn't, and Kawhi did play, like Kawhi was, when he was playing this year, he was awesome.
He was really good. He just can't stay healthy.
If he can't stay healthy,
What's up with the knee?
then they're in big trouble.
We'll get a good
right?
preview.
Like in terms of Harden kind of leading the way and,
We'll get a preview about that knee. Does he play for Team USA in a few weeks? If not, that's definitely not going to help the Clippers prospects. You know what save I do kind of like? The Warriors. Getting De'Anthony Melton for a 1-year deal.
It's a really good deal.
Yeah, about $13 million was the mid-level, right? Look, he's not Klay. He's not going to have games where he can hit 7 or 8 threes and help you win a game that way. He did do it against the Lakers, but he's not that type of guy. But I like the defense. It's a good save by Golden State, because he was one of my top 3 guys I wanted the Lakers to get when I wasn't sure if D'Lo was coming back. And 2 of them are still out there, Tyus Jones and Gary Trent Jr. But Jovan, I mean, there's 15 spots. You're allowed 15 spots in the league, and the Lakers have all 15 booked because Cam Reddish opted in.
Real quick.
Oh, here comes the voice of God.
De'Anthony Melton. He went 8 for 12 against the Lakers, career high.
There you go.
33 points.
Everyone goes career high.
I was gonna say.
So he can do it.
Do it against someone else. Then it means something.
Damn it. I'll tell you what move still surprised me. I'm going right before free agency. D'Angelo Russell opting in for $18.7 million. When he had his exit meeting, and I'm sure you were, that was a crazy night. It was the night the Lakers got eliminated.
Night, yeah.
Lakers broke from tradition a little bit and said, we're not going to do exit meetings tomorrow or the day after. We're going to do them after the game. So all you beat writers in Denver, you got to get all your people tonight. And D'Lo said that night, he used the word leverage. And to me, that symbolized, he's opting out. Because the Lakers...
I would have bet everything on that.
Yeah, I was stunned when he opted in. It's a good value for the Lakers. First of all, $18.7 million in a league where the average is almost $13 million. I think that's a good contract. And of course, it's trade value too. It's an expiring contract. It's not too awful. It's not like 3 years, $67 million or anything like that. But I'm surprised he opted in. I saw what he said. That he wants to play for JJ Redick. Obviously, it's a different regime. He and Darvin didn't see eye to eye. I think we're all pretty confident in that. And Darvin sat him on the bench, brought him off the bench, I should say, after his horrendous end of December and mid-January swoon. But, I'm surprised he opted in. I think it's good for the Lakers, even if he gets traded, whether he gets traded or whether he stays on this team and is here on opening night. That's a good value for the Lakers.
Yeah, well, I mean, because basically, if he opted out, the Lakers' options to replace him would have essentially just been that non-taxpayer MLE, and then 13. You're losing that roster spot, basically. Exactly. So you're essentially losing D'Lo for nothing, and then replacing him with if it's a De'Anthony Melton, that's a downgrade, right? Just in terms of what D'Lo brings to the table.
D'Lo made 225 threes.
Yeah,
right around there for the Lakers. That's a great year.
So the sense I got with the D'Lo situation was just that he didn't have much of a market, and it really was kind of Orlando or bust. And ultimately, he was not going to be making more money in Orlando than he would be with the Lakers. So he took KCP. The extra. He opted in to take the money. Now, I reported shortly after that the Lakers are looking to trade him just because. That is it's an expiring contract. If you are looking at their mid-sized salary, that's the only one that's not committed for multiple years. So if just in terms of like easiest contract to trade, it is D'Angelo Russell, and it's also the most expensive of all those ones. So as the Lakers look to upgrade this roster, I mean, Chris Haynes just reported a Bleacher Report that they were offering the Warriors D'Angelo Russell for Klay Thompson. Like that was the salary they were trying to get in there. I think it's kind of funny if you talk to anyone from Golden State about the experience with Russell, did not go well.
That was not.
So I don't think that was.
Not sure that how realistic that was.
I don't think that would have. I think it would have had to been Rui.
Yeah,
but
it wasn't to be.
So we'll see with D'Lo, but I think the Lakers need to do something again, and especially like looking at the Russell Reeves backcourt. Just talking to people, it's like they need more defense in that backcourt, and the Lakers value Austin Reeves more. He's on a multi-year team-friendly deal. He's performed better in the playoffs than D'Lo. He's a better defender than D'Lo. Obviously, D'Lo, at times was the third option and certainly outplayed Austin offensively, but just from like a winning, competitive kind of perspective, Austin is a better fit next to LeBron and AD than D'Lo is. So I think there's a sense that like they need to find a way to kind of split those two up and bring in a better fitting backcourt player.
I want to ask about LeBron in a second, but I did want to give you a chance to jump in on Max Christie because Jovan said something. I think it was the first thing I thought of when I saw the years and that amount that they did let him get to test the market. Does he become a rotational player?
This was fascinating to me because, okay, we didn't see him the last month of the season, really. That was Darvin's decision. And it makes you think that the front office all along was like, we should see more of this guy. And it's the coach's decision who he puts on the floor. It's not Rob Pelinka's. It's not any of the younger bus generation. It's the coach's decision, obviously. So to me, this is a clear indication that the front office has always thought pretty highly of Max Christie. And, the thing for me was, okay, if you don't sign him, he goes to free agency, restricted free agency. I'm curious to see what he would have gotten, what offer sheet he would have received from another team, because the Lakers had the right to match it. They must have thought that it was going to be over $8 million a year, because they're like, hey man, we'll give you $8 million right now. So it was a safe thing for them to do. And like you said, Jovan, they haven't been giving out a lot of multi-year deals for non-franchise guys. Obviously, AD got a nice one. And Jared Vanderbilt is about to start his 4-year extension in the fall. That hasn't even kicked in yet. So they will give it to people they like and rotation players. Obviously, they like Max Christie a lot, or at the very least, a lot more than Darvin Ham did towards the end of last season.
I think I'll speak from a fan's perspective on Max before I move it into LeBron. Like, it's nice that they're taking care of and building with one of the young guys, because over the years, I feel like as fans lost a lot of young players, obviously to bring in AD and, Alex Caruso's of the world, Kuz's, guys like that you become, attached to a little bit and you love because you drafted them or they came here, whatever, after not being drafted like Caruso. But for a guy like Max Christie, man, Jovan just hit it. He's 2 years younger than Dalton Knecht. Like, you need some young guys in your system that you've drafted and you have under your, you control their contracts. So for me, I'm really glad. And his brother's playing for what? The Clippers?
Yeah, we got a little crosstown rivalry now.
Did you like the Knecht draft pick? You had to have, right?
I did. I liked it a lot. Yeah. So I didn't. I'm not a big draft person. I'm like the week before I started talking to people and watching and reading different stuff. So Knecht was not even on my radar because he was projected to go in the top 10 on every mock draft. Right? They didn't work him out. He rejected the Lakers workout request because
17.
Knecht did because he's him and his agent said he was not going to drop to 17. So he was a projected.
Right?
Yeah. What?
There wasn't even a shot.
No, he was a projected top 10 pick. Projected top 10. Like everyone's, if they did like prospect rankings, kind of separate from the picks. He was a top 10 prospect. So the fact that he fell and then can learn from JJ Redick, that's, I think, the biggest thing is like, if there's anyone that can mentor him and show him the ropes as to being a movement shooter and with his skill set, it's JJ Redick. So
they probably
had
like Silva ready to take, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, buddy, you're out."
Well,
this guy's still here. We didn't even work him out.
That's what I think would have happened. I think they would have gone to Silva if he wasn't there.
Sure.
But the funny thing to me too was like, I feel like they were genuinely celebrating in the war room.
They 100%
and like
were.
You'll see some of those videos and it's like they know it's about to be broadcast on national TV. So they're kind of like mailing it in, like performing for the camera a little bit. You could tell it's not genuine. That was genuine. They were like legitimately
shocked.
Yeah.
It was actually super cool.
Yeah.
So you were at the JJ press conference. What we haven't had you since. What were your thoughts on that and how he did? And you know?
I thought he absolutely crushed the press conference. Which,
as far as crushing press conference goes,
it was incredible.
He did, right?
Like he had the media eating out of his hands.
So smart. He talked everything, analytics.
Yeah, he said all the right things.
All the right things. Player development.
Couple cuss words for everybody.
Couple F-bombs. Yeah. So that's not a surprise if you've been following JJ's media career. Like he's gifted. So in terms of you put him in front of a microphone and he knows what to say. I think obviously it's different to say the right thing and actually apply it. So we will see with his actions how much is actually implemented and how much he can actually do. But I was super impressed with he, like, I thought that an interesting thing was Rob Pelinka kind of deflected the Dan Hurley question because he was like, I want to, this is JJ's day. I want to respect that.
Play that perfectly.
And so he didn't want to touch on that because he wanted to keep it about JJ. And then the next question, JJ circles back to it and addresses it. And I thought that was like a nice move by him to like just address the elephant in the room of just all the reporting and speculation about who was the first choice, who was the second choice, and all that stuff. So like I thought he handled that well. He handled the LeBron questions well. And I just thought again, like he said the right things. But in terms of like what he actually talked about, I thought running the offense more through AD, taking more threes, mentioning some of the young guys and like their roles and getting LeBron off the ball more. Like I just thought he said all the right things. So again, it's a different thing to actually like do those things. But in terms of like a first test, I thought he passed it with flying colors.
Any insight, guys, on what you think LeBron might do with that contract? I've heard anywhere between a 1+1, a 2.
Two sounds about right. I mean, obviously he wants to get 3. That's the most he can sign for a player of his age. It's a lot of money too. It's $55 million a year, almost on average.
Yeah.
I think he goes for 2 though. I think he says, you know what, probably another 1+1 just to maintain that flexibility, and we might all be here again in a year. So get ready for that, Jovan, as a beat writer. I
think it's going to depend on if he takes a pay cut or not.
Yeah.
So I think if he takes the max salary, it's probably maybe 2+1 or 2-year deal, somewhere in that range. I think if it's the pay cut, he'll do a 1+1 and then he'll opt out next summer and then get the max. So it'll be like a 1-year pay cut. Yeah. Essentially kind of what like James Harden did with Philadelphia, where he helped them sign some guys by taking a temporary pay cut and then wanted more money. So
is that why he got upset?
Well, then James Harden's play didn't back it up. So like that's where it gets a little tricky if you're. But I think LeBron, he's going to get that contract.
Yeah. So what any other rumors as we head into this final couple of days? Into the fourth. DeMar DeRozan here?
Yeah, I mean,
things like that.
That'd be. I think I like the fit better than you, Jovan. You said you were a little unsure of it. For $13 million, 12.8. Yeah, of course you do it. You absolutely do it.
Does DeMar do that?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, he's kind of running out of
34,
teams.
You were saying, right? 34?
DeMar's 34, going to be 35.
He's kind of running. Teams are slowly running out of money here.
Just making sure nothing's happening on my phone.
There you go. Smart. Yeah. Orlando, $22 million towards KCP next year, $22 million. I mean, takes a big chunk out of their spending. Yep. OKC taking Hartenstein. Teams are starting to run out of money. He could always go to Detroit, I guess. But if I'm DeRozan, I think I take the 13 and come out to LA and try to make this team better.
Right. So I'm gonna say the R word, and I know this is a trigger for Laker fans, but Russ. At the time, it was like he's a star, he's Russell Westbrook, but at the core of Russ and his basketball fit with the Lakers, there were 2.5 issues. One, he could not shoot and really struggle to function off the ball, and just not like Russ was at his best with the ball in his hands, which was directly opposed to LeBron and AD having the ball. It was like you can only have one ball. And then 2, he did not play defense. He has since played better defense with the Clippers, but in LA he did not play defense, and for much of his career he's been a below average defender. DeMar DeRozan, for as good as he is, for as talented as he is, he's a LA native, USC guy. I'm an LA native, USC guy. So on one part, like I would love to have DeMar DeRozan out here. It's just he's a 30-ish% career 3-point shooter.
He's not going to help
and low volume 3-point shooter. So what is he doing off the ball? Is he spotting up? Because he's not used to taking three. Like, he would have to be willing to embrace a role he's never embraced in his career. He's always been a top 2 guy on all of his teams. Coming in, he's a 3rd guy. And you could even make a case like, I know Austin Reeves isn't on paper as good as him, but like Austin Reeves is younger and has shown an ability in a pick and roll to get downhill, draw fouls, etc. So, like, there's going to be times where he's the 4th guy. Can he accept that? And then defensively, if you're going LeBron, AD, and DeMar, and Austin and D'Lo, or maybe you trade D'Lo for like a better defensive guard, that perimeter defense is pretty bad. And that's my bigger concern, is just like, you're not surrounding, like, you ideally want guys around AD who can space the floor and play defense. And DeMar DeRozan does not check either box. So, like, yes, he's a star, he's a name. LeBron apparently wants him and is willing to take a pay cut. So, like, you have to factor that in. I'm just looking at it from an actual basketball fit perspective. Like, outside of the shot creation, which is important, but I would say it's lower on my list of like what the Lakers actually need. I don't see the boxes that he really checks.
I mean, he's a great mid-range guy.
He is.
That helps.
That's the shot creation.
And he gets to the free throw line too, which I like. So he's not afraid of contact. You're absolutely right. It's not going to help them with 3-point attempts. They were 28th in 3-point attempts. So they still need someone with volume. Maybe Knecht is that guy. He had no problem jacking up 10, 11, 12 in games in college from time to time. Maybe here's a thought. If they get DeRozan, would he come off the bench? Because that bench really needed some punch. I mean, they had Taurean Prince was really the only guy who scored off the bench in the playoff series against Denver. So rough. Maybe Vanderbilt, if you want more defense, Vanderbilt gets to start at the 3, and then maybe DeRozan finishes if you need some scoring punch late in the 4th quarter. But it's $13 million. It really is the average NBA salary. The NBA hates when you say that, by the way. But it really it's very close to 12.8. Whatever the full mid level is, it's really close to the average. They'll be like, well, it's the mean of the median of the average, but whatever. So he makes the average salary. Maybe he should come off the bench, like you said. He's in his mid-30s. Save some legs for DeMar DeRozan.
I like that much better than starting and playing him like 35 minutes a night.
Yeah, but let Jared Vanderbilt play 30 minutes a night.
Lakeshow fans, remember, you could be part of this show each week. Feel free to send us your questions and comments. We'd love to hear from you. We're taking a break, but when we return, it's a round of Bucket of Brick. Welcome back to the Lakeshow podcast presented by Jack in the Box. If you're enjoying the show, you can check out more original podcasts from our Spectrum News journalists on the Spectrum News app. Just head to the podcast section to listen to the latest episodes. You can download the Spectrum News app on the App Store or Google Play. Time now for a Bucket or Brick presented by Jack in the Box.
Jack in the Box.
Jovan, Dad, Bron will be in attendance for Bronny's introductory presser Tuesday. Bucket or Brick?
I'll say bucket.
You're gonna go bucket?
I think LeBron is there because he's if Bronny plays on Saturday, which is the Lakers' first summer league game in San Francisco for the California Classic. It's already here. Summer League's already here. That is the first day of Team USA mini camp in Las Vegas. So LeBron, the reporting has been that he's going to be there for the opening of that. So, I mean, technically you could fly from San Francisco to Vegas depending on the timing of the game versus when practice is. But, like, theoretically, he's not going to be there for Bronny's first Summer League game. So I would say he shows up standing in the back or to the side for the press conference.
Up in the office, looking down does not count, Brez. He's got to be in attendance downstairs. Bucket or Brick?
Absolute bucket. I mean, put yourself in that spot. I mean, you're the father of 2 daughters, and if they had a big moment, you'd want to be there for it.
Sure.
So I think LeBron's going to enjoy this moment. And as you said, Jovan, he's got a lot of conflicts coming up starting this weekend as he goes overseas eventually to play for Team USA.
This is one of my favorites. Bucket or Brick? JJ Redick will take the sideline during Summer League, Brez, and coach him up.
I'm going to brick this. I don't think he'll be coaching. I think he'll be there, definitely in attendance. Yeah. He's got to be, I just don't think he's going to be on the sidelines as a coach. I think he'll defer. We haven't heard much about the staff yet, by the way, who the assistants are going to be.
I mean, you might have to if there's no staff.
That's true. That's true. I mean, it's being kept under wraps.
What?
Has anyone been hired yet?
No, not officially.
Maybe one of the G League guys will.
Yeah, I could see. So I'll zig here or zag, whatever. I'll say bucket and say similar to what we were talking about at the press conference, where he was really embracing the tough questions and sort of facing the music. I think in theory, you wouldn't expect the head coach to ever coach the summer league team, but he's an exception.
Yeah.
He needs NBA experience. You have multiple players on the team from the actual roster. Now let's see the plays you're drawing up for Dalton Knecht.
I love it.
And Bronny.
And
Some good Bronny plays.
Or Brick. Backup big man is still the biggest need in free agency for the Lakers.
So I'm bricking. I still think it's on the wings. I think they have and this was another thing with what I like so much about Max Christie. He's a two-way player. The Lakers don't have many two-way players. They don't have many guys who are average to above average on both sides of the ball. Max Christie is one of the guys that checks that box. But looking at Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, even a Dalton Knecht, like one of the reasons he slipped was because of his defense in addition to his age. I just think they need more two-way guys, particularly in that like 6'6" to 6'9" range. So I would say that's still the biggest position of need. I would say backup big man second, and it's maybe close there, but I would say that's still having a better starting small forward, essentially.
I'm going to bucket this. I'm going to go with shooting still. I'm going to keep hitting this drum. And I like the accuracy last year, top 10, first time in a decade from behind the arc, but they still need volume shooting. And another reason, there's not a lot of backup bigs out there. I mean, it's just not a great year. It's not a great free agency period for backup bigs. And so I think the Lakers, they're going to go to battle with Christian Wood and Jackson Hayes one more year. And hopefully those guys, in particular Wood, can stay on the court a little more. Because I still believe in his game, Geet. I still think he's going to help them win some games with his rebounding and his three-point touch.
All right, here's a good one for you guys. So the Boston Celtics majority ownership group are planning to make the franchise available for sale, sources tell ESPN. The investment group purchased the team in 2002. So here's my bucket of brick. Magic Johnson should buy the Celtics and dissolve the team. Brez?
Absolute bucket. That would be one of the biggest. I hate the word irony. I hate it. I had a college prof who yelled at us whenever we put it in the paper. That would be one of the biggest ironies ever. Yeah. If Magic Johnson bought the Celtics
and just ran them into the ground,
traded Tatum for a bag of chips.
Yeah.
And that would be that would be comical to me.
That'd be something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all for it.
I'm for it too. The other one I'm for is which started going rampant on Twitter was what if like Alex Rodriguez and was it Mark Lowry or the
Timberwolves guys?
The Timberwolves guys, yeah. the new owners, and they're having that ownership battle. What if they just withdraw and go by the Celtics with the financing that they had, and then A-Rod owning a Boston team? Obviously Magic owning the Celtics.
Yeah.
That's it's a better story, but A-Rod is like, that would be kind of funny too.
That'd be kind of funny too.
There's some good irony there too. He'd had a prof who once he got mad at me. He actually called me out in front of the little discussion group. He's like, "You used irony wrong 3 times in your paper." So I swear to this day, I've never used irony in a story.
That's it.
I try not to use it verbally, and I just used it now
was
because
he right?
Because that's
was he right, or was he just trying to be Captain Professor? Goof.
I don't know. I looked it up at the time, 20-something years ago. And
rattled you, didn't it?
Now, just whenever I hear, like Alanis Morissette song, isn't it ironic?
Yeah.
None of that's irony. None of that. If it rains on your wedding day, that's just bad luck. It's. I'm sorry, it rained on your wedding day. That's.
Gotta watch her 8-year-old daughter sing it. It's really cute. But yeah.
Please explain to her irony and the misuse of it.
Brez doesn't like the word.
Yeah.
Do you ever use it in your stories?
Not
good, man.
Frequently.
Yeah.
Good job,
I use coincidentally.
Yeah, that's what
more.
it is.
Yeah.
It's mostly coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the free ride you just didn't take, Geet. That's a bad choice. That's not irony. It's just should have taken the free ride. Cost you $17 with Uber.
You should go on Instagram and do break down her song. It'd be pretty funny. It would go viral. Love it. All right, great stuff, guys. Yeah. Thank you thanks for joining us today, by the way. And we look forward
thanks
to
for not being ironic.
A lot going on here the next couple weeks. Hopefully. All right, Lakeshow podcast presented by Jack in the Box. If you like what you hear, leave us a rating. Review it, favorite podcast app. We want to hear from you, so send us your questions. Hit us up on X, Geeter3, Mike_Bresnahan, and at Jovan Buha. And by the way, Buha's Block Podcast. Catch that too. Until next time.